Hey guys! I'm happy to say that I'm almost ready for the second episode of the very popular World of Warships Funny Moments compilation. I only need a few more crazy moments, so if you have some funny or unexpected moments laying around in your replay files, don't be shy to send them in. And of course, special thanks to all of you who did already send in some replays. They are hilarious. Right now, however, it's time for another arty review, and I have some really big guns for you today, courtesy of the M4043 Tier 8 US SPG. This tier in general can already put down some devastating fire even on Tier 10s, and you won't ever be feeling the underdog in the M4043 either. Considered by many the best Tier 8 artillery in the game, it will give you many enjoyable games and butthurt chat messages if you use it carefully. Of course, as usual, I will also include an ace tanker gameplay at the end of the review, and this one happens to have also a Gore's medal in it with over 5000 damage done. If you want to jump ahead to the juicy bits, the link stands ready in the description below. Right, so now that all the impatient ones are gone, let's see what this machine was like in real life. Well, we should be really saying machines in plural, because the M4043 in World of Tanks was in reality two SPGs. The M40 GMC, or gun motor carriage, wielding the 155mm long-tom gun, and this 203mm howitzer variant, the M43 howitzer motor carriage. Now about the 155mm long-tom gun that it originally mounted, and that's the stock gun in the game. This heavy field gun was actually designed quite a while ago, with prototypes already being built in the 1920s and 1930s, before finally being mounted on an SPG. The gun was capable of firing 45 kilo shells to a distance of 22 kilometers, and it was adopted by a number of nations including the UK, Austria, Israel and the Netherlands. The M40 was designed to replace the earlier M12 GMC on the battlefield, mounting a 155 heavy field gun onto a modified M4A3 medium tank chassis. Production started with a planned 600 units at the end of the Second World War, but it was too late to make any impact. Only one pilot vehicle made it to the European theater, and with the end of the war, production was halted with only 311 units produced. Now, after the war, the M40 was also adopted by the British Army, who designated it the 155mm SP M40 and called it the Cardinal. The peak of this machine's career was, however, during the Korean War in the 1950s, where the US forces used it in great numbers to shell the living shit out of the enemy positions. Now there are quite a few surviving M40s around if you want to see them for yourself. There are two in the UK, one at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford and one at the Royal Artillery Museum in Woolwich, one in Germany at the Technik Museum in Sinsheim, and 4 in the US at the United States Army Ordnance Museum at Fort Lee, at the Arkansas National Guard MEAS at Camp Robinson, at the City Vehicle Storage Area in Charleston, and finally one at the United States Army Field Artillery Museum at Fort Steele. So, that's quite a bit of history for this machine then. Let's have a quick look if it's just as devastating in-game as well. Starting with everyone's favorite part, the gun. It's quite obvious that you will use the 203mm version, that's the top gun, and not the 155mm that this SPG was famous for in real life. With your 102mm penetration and 1850 average damage, you can really bring the pain to the enemy, and your top-notch burst radius of 8.5 meters means that you can even do considerable amounts of damage when you do not even hit the target directly. And with a dispersion of 0.86 meters, that's bound to happen quite regularly, but you have to take into consideration that that's actually quite an average accuracy for these high-caliber artillery guns, and you can benefit from your burst radius that nobody else in this tier can. Aiming and reload times are quite alright as well. You have a rate of fire of 1.23 rounds per minute, that gives you an almost 49-second base reload, but you can bring this down quite considerably with a gun rammer and brothers in arms. Aiming time at 7.5 seconds is a good average as well for this tier, and it's absolutely playable, especially with a gun laying drive and a strong crew. Your firing range is awesome at 1335 meters, but it's kinda expected as well with these higher tier arty pieces. What's super good though is that you have quite a good gun elevation at 55 degrees and a very good gun arc of 36 degrees, that's the second best in its tier. I mean, sure, your gun traverse speed is somewhat slow with only 10 degrees per second, but that's once again quite average and not a huge drawback at all. Now, your DPM on paper is on the lower side, but that burst radius once again means that you can literally just inflict the pain much more reliable than your German or Russian counterparts can, who on paper out DPM you. Now moving on to protection, you do have 400 HP, which is again quite average, and to be honest, a lot of things you will encounter can one-shot you anyway. The armor profile is somewhat surprising, however. Now on paper you have 108mm in the front, 25mm on the sides and 12mm in the back, but those values are for the chassis only. The upper part of this SPG is complete garbage all around with only 30mm of armor and literally anything will penetrate you. Now going back to the front, however, your lower plate is surprisingly strong. Thanks to all the angling, it's up to 160mm stick in reality, which is good enough to bounce some shots, if someone's stupid enough to aim here, which unfortunately doesn't happen all that much. What happens more often, however, is that they try to ram you, and not consider your partially good frontal armor combined with your almost 40-ton weight. Many light tanks squished themselves on my front since I'm playing this artillery, and it did not get any less hilarious until now. Something to consider, however, is that your camo rating is quite bad, so you will get spotted relatively easily. Luckily, your mobility is quite alright, and with an almost 39 km/h top speed, you can relocate whenever necessary. Even your traverse speed at 22 degrees per second is alright, but that's of course only in SPG terms. And finally, both your view range at 340 meters and your signal range at 750 meters are considered to be quite good in its tier. Overall, as you could see, this machine is not about being extreme in any way. Its strength lies in the fact that there isn't really any area where it would be weak, and there are some parts like the burst radius and the gun arc where it really excels. It's just a really enjoyable experience through and through, though for completion's sake I have to mention that from time to time, not super frequently though thank god, it will completely misbehave itself and you won't be able to hit anything no matter what you do. Next match, suddenly everything's back to normal again though, so on average you can still have very good results in it. Now, crew skill and equipment wise, there really isn't anything apart from the usual super standard stuff. So I would say, let's get straight to the gameplay and see how you can do with it on a good day. Alright, so here we are in a tier 8 encounter match on the Sand River map. Now, this would be a pretty sweet matchup. I mean, we are one of the few tier 8 machines on our team, but at the same time, unfortunately it seems that most of the good players ended up on the enemy team. And in the very first seconds of the game, you can see me starting to go over to my favorite spot, which is just behind those little rocks on the other side of this elevated part. But, as I can notice, well, a complete left flank will be consisting of that Lorraine 155, which I wouldn't really call ideal positioning. Now, when you see a lemming terrain like this, there isn't really much you can do. Bitching in chat won't help. So the only thing you can do is, well, try to tag along to still get some protection of your genius team and see if you can maybe support them enough so they can push through if they are decided to cluster up in one corner of the map. Now, enemy T-150 coming in, and that's a really good shot. 670 damage to begin with. It's not a bad start, not at all. Now this position you see me taking here is, well, it's not ideal because it's in the open. At the same time we are relatively safe from the prying enemy eyes. All those buildings are hiding us quite nicely. So we should be relatively safe, but we have to move after every shot because the enemy M40-43 player seems to be a good one. And if there is a good enemy arty player, you have to expect some counter battery fire. So let's not take any chances. Alright, just waiting for a clear shot here. This IS-6 takes its time. Okay, this should be our chance, and there we go. 806 damage. That's why it's worth to wait for the shot. I could have taken a chance shot, but most probably it would have missed because of the trickiness of these shots along the sand dunes. So waiting a couple of seconds saved me a wasted shot and another 40 minutes worth of reload. Okay, there was an AT-15 going along the sand dunes here. And there is that pesky bulldog. Now we are about reloaded, so let's pre-aim where we think the AT-15A will push on. It's a tricky one, but I think we can get the top of it. Yep, there we go. So far not too bad. We are on 3 shots and already we are about 2000 damage on the enemy team. Still, it's 3-3. So far everybody seems to be playing it out in this side of the map. No sign of the enemy advancement from the other side yet, which is completely open. Though luckily the other good player on our team has now positioned itself, so he can hopefully defend us when the push comes. It seems most of the enemy players did come to this segment as well, so let's see now here. This was stupid. You really shouldn't be taking blind shots like that. He just disappeared off the radar. If I would have waited just a couple of seconds, I would have had a pretty good shot at him. Like this, I wasted my shot, and now I have to wait ages again to be reloaded. And by the look of things, I can't really count on my team to snatch victory here. Yeah, well, they just pulled it back, but it's not going spectacularly well. It's pretty tight, and well, there we go, we are down again by 1. And here you see me rushing another shot. I was rushing the shot because I really wanted to save that ISU-152, but this was again a stupid move for 2 reasons. First of all, with 0.86 accuracy you really have to be pre-aimed fully to be able to risk a shot like that. I could have easily hit the ISU-152 myself. Secondly, again, if I would have just waited a couple of seconds more, I would have had a very clear shot on that M41 Bulldog. I might not have been able to save the ISU-152, but at least could have pulled back the score slightly, and the M41 Bulldog is one of the better players on the enemy team, so it would have been an important kill. Now, unfortunately, what you will also see if you are paying some attention to chat is the Oni player on our team bitching about for the remainder of this match, which is quite unfortunate. I understand and I share your frustration, brother, but bitching about it to really make any difference. So, that was a better shot, so we could redeem ourselves slightly, killing that Bulldog, and oh, that's not good. Enemy T-29 pushing up on the empty flank, and as soon as the Oni was spotted, he was bombarded into oblivion by the enemy artillery players. Unfortunately, I couldn't really take advantage of this T-29 being tracked, but I will pre-aim on this corner in case he peeks and the Lorraine spots him. Let's hope he does get spotted. If not, it might be too late by the time we see him. Ah shit, he slipped through. That means I have to change my aim, and he will have all the time in the world to take out our Lorraine friend by the time we have pre-aimed on that spot. Now he disappeared. Do have a good shot on this Oni, which we will take, and 618 damage, good, but now we have to disappear quite quickly. Looking at that T-29, I'm quite sure that I have been spotted, and there are 3 artillery players on the enemy team, all just waiting to get a piece of me. There we go. There was 1, there is 2. Anyone for 3? Well, maybe not today. But It's only the us and the FV304 at this stage, and there are all three of the enemy artillery players in game, and both the T-29 and the Oni. Now both are damaged and the one shot, but they come at me at the same time. Well, they have all the odds in their favor. And if they won't kill me, enemy artillery will be pretty much guaranteed to be aimed at this spot. FV304 spots the T-29. We pre-aim, and that looks good. Oh man, shotgunning enemy tanks into oblivion never gets old. Now, this is our only chance. We have to move about vividly. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Try to avoid the incoming enemy artillery fire. Well, so far they only did take out the enemy FV304, so maybe we are safe after all. Now, I don't know if that Oni is so slow or if he did hesitate, but that gave us maybe just enough time to reload. Come on. Come on, do reload. Reload, please. Oh, there goes enemy artillery. That's one. And I think that was just another one behind us. Oh man, that was so very close. If he would have not been hesitating so much, this would have been a very easy kill for him. But rolling down sideways onto the enemy artillery player who just blasted in before a minute ago, your friend into oblivion was not the smartest thing to do. So it's down to 1 artillery versus 3 enemy artillery. It's encounter. So I have a pretty good idea where at least some of the enemy RT players will be, especially now. There is somebody in the cap circle. And I mean, sure, I could take blind shots, but I'm pretty certain that they are hiding behind enemy buildings, so it wouldn't really make much sense. I have to go in and blast them in their face if I want to win. Now, knocking over the tree was not the best ideas. I have to be trying to be stealthy, just to allow myself a bit more time to go in, so I can get at least a shot off and taking one of them with me before they can take me out, because they have all the odds in their favor. At the same time, if I can get lucky, these buildings can actually take some of the HE shells for me. So maybe, just maybe... there are 2 of them in the cap circle. That doesn't look good. Okay, can't avoid knocking these trees over. We have to go. There is the FV207. Oh, there is the enemy M40-43. This doesn't look good. Oh, M40-43 shots. Okay, let's wait, let's wait. Good, now, quickly into cover, quickly into cover. The GW Panther still didn't take a shot. Son of a bitch. Well, it was close, but no cigar this time. What a game this was, but it's still hard to call it a heartbreak. The odds were just against us and we still almost did pull it off, so overall, I think we did mostly play well in this game. And that's what matters to me really. Apart from the long-awaited Ace Tanker badge in this machine, I also got another Gore's Medal and High Caliber award after damaging 7 and killing 5 of the enemy tanks, spreading around over 5,000 damage in this run. Now all of this was worth over 53,000 credits and almost 800 base XP even on a loss, and that's more than what 80% of the winning team got. We did more than twice the damage of the best player from the enemy team, who, by the way, was also an M40-43, scored the most kills in the match, and still, it just wasn't enough this time. It's important to mention that almost all 6 artilleries did well in this game, and almost none of the other tanks did. They just didn't make it difficult to get shelled to death, even if this map can be super trollish for RT players with all those sand dunes around. Now, of course, it has to be mentioned that our gun did behave itself extremely well this time around. We did hit and penetrate 8 out of the 10 shots we took, and scored 1 splash damage. So, with a bit of luck and careful aiming, you can definitely make it work most of the time. So, that was my take on the M40-43, the Tier 8 American artillery. It's a great little machine, and I hope I could point out well its strengths and also the not too many weaknesses. If you found this little review useful, thank you for considering giving it a like or sharing it. For most of this week I will be away in the UK on a business trip, but next week I will be back with another Funny Moments compilation, so don't forget to send me your replay files or links that you want to get featured. Have a great week, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in one of the next videos.